I got court coming up. And my lawyer called me, I think, like a day or two after I got back to the hole, and he was telling me that they wanted to reduce the armed robbery charge that I caught, because it should have never been charged like that. I should have never been actually charged with armed robbery. They charged it like that because something got taken. I'm gonna try to be as vague as I can here. Something got taken from someone else. A weapon got pulled out. They put these two details together, and then they call it robbery in the first degree, armed robbery. That's a class A felony along with the homicide and stuff like that. So they just hear these two details and they charge it as an armed robbery. But then, as my lawyer is going back and talking to the people who were involved and witnesses and all things like that, the witnesses are telling him that, yes, something was taken from someone and a weapon was pulled out, but the weapon was never brandished towards the person that actually had something taken from them. And the weapon was not pulled out as a part of that thing being taken. It was in response to someone else who saw what was happening, and someone else ran up and confronted him during this whole situation. Just to be completely honest, someone came up and grabbed me around my neck like this from behind. A random civilian saw what was going on. I turned around, pulled out whatever it was that I pulled out, not going to say anything. And it wasn't the person who was having something taken. It was a random bystander who came and physically accosted me from behind. It wasn't the person who, you get what I'm saying? It was a random person who wasn't actually initially involved in it. So it turned from an armed robbery to basically a theft in the second degree. So it goes from a class A felony, which is the highest basically form of crime you can be charged with in the state of Washington, down to a theft in the second degree, a misdemeanor. So it changed. So he was telling me that the phone call with my lawyer, he was telling me that they were ready to reduce it from the robbery in the first degree just to theft in the second degree. But then he was telling me that the first charge that I was locked up for, the robbery in the second at the bank, that they could potentially be seeking an even higher penalty than that. So now I'm worried, because at first I was just thinking that I was about to get out. This is the first time I've ever been in trouble. Washington is a super liberal state. So if the first time you get in trouble, your only charge is robbery in the second, you'll probably get 6 months. You won't even go to prison. You'll do 6 months in jail and get out. But I've got all these other charges stacked up. So I'm worried that I might not just get the 6 months. Then when he tells me that they're dropping the worst charge, the robbery in the first, down to a theft, I'm like, okay, I might actually just get 6 months. I've already been in here for 6 months at this point. And then a week before I got to go to court, he calls me right after I get into the hole, and he's telling me that they're thinking about raising it from a robbery in the second to something higher, just because it was a bank, just because of where it happened at. And now I'm worried, because I was thinking I was about to get time served and get out. Now I could be going to prison for a few years. So court rolls around. They come and get me early in the morning. They put me in cuffs and they take me down to the holding cells for the courtroom. I was in there for hours. I actually watched like a whole movie from start to finish on the little TV screen. Eventually the CO comes and gets me. He tells me my lawyer's busy with something. Court's not happening today. He takes me back up to my cell. They push it a week out. So I'm worried now, because I was just up all night waiting on court to happen to find out what was going to happen. And now they're telling me it's pushed back a week. So they take me back up to my cell. Now I have to wait 7 more days. So the first thing I do when I get to my cell, because it's time to pray, I make wudu and all that. I get down, I pray. And during the last sujud of the salah, I made a dua while I was in sujud. I asked Allah, I was like, I don't know why this is happening. I don't know what's going on. But I know if it happened, it was written by you. You decreed for it to happen. So just know that whatever you decide, I'll be patient. And whatever you want to do it. It's in your hands at this point. So the next Friday rolls around. And I go down to court. Once again, I'm down there for hours. I'm down there. I think I was down there for 4 hours waiting on my lawyer to come get me. Finally, they come and get me, and they put me in the little cubicle to talk to my lawyer. And he's got a big smile on his face when I see him. So I'm like, okay, what's going on? He just slides the paper in the little slot to me. And I'm reading the paper, and they weren't gonna increase the first charge into something higher. They were just gonna leave it alone. And they actually went through and dropped the robbery in the first degree down to a theft. So I'm looking at the time that I have to sign for, and it's 9.5 months is what I'm gonna sign, plead guilty to everything, and the prosecutor's recommendation is 9.5 months. And I'm asking my lawyer, I was like, do I still have good time? He was like, yeah, you still have good time. And in Washington, good time is a third off of your sentence. I'm already in there for 6.5 months at this point. They're offering me 9 months. 9 months minus one third is 6 months. So I'm like, wait, so if I sign this, does that mean I'm getting out soon? He's like, yeah, you'll probably get out next week. I was like, oh yeah, give me the pen. That's done. So I signed it. I started crying right then and there.